broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another amazing AfterBuzz TV after show for your favorite show, Hemlock Grove. We're on Season 3, Episode 6, Pendant. I'm your host, Sean Overman, and you can find me at Sean Austin O on Twitter and Instagram. I'm joined here by my lovely co-hosts, as usual.
Hello everyone, I'm Marisa Serafini. You can follow me on Twitter at SeraphiniTV.
And I'm Marielou Mandl. You can find me at all social media at Marielou Mandl.
Alright, and we're going to be joined later on by our very special guest, Joel De La Fuente.
Oh my god, I'm so excited.
He plays Dr. Johan Price on Hemlock Grove, which is our favorite, arguably our favorite character on the show.
One of our favorite.
Oh gosh, so I can't wait until he gets on the line. Please let us know when he is on. I'm sure our engineer, or whoever is producing our show, will cue us up. But until he gets on, let's go ahead and talk quickly, well, maybe not so quickly, about Olivia.
Oh my gosh, this girl.
Woo, this was quite an episode for her.
She is losing it.
Oh my gosh, she's crazy. Craziness. Okay, so it looks like Ochoa returns to her from being gone, going to the Keys, driving down there, taking his boat overnight, right? Something like that, coming back. And there's the whole, she has that pendant that he gave her, right? Chongo. And Chongo, we see her like playing with it, fiddling with it during the first part of the episode. And did she put it in the sink? It looked like she put it in the sink.
She put it on a table.
She put it on the table, right? And then
side table.
Yeah, and then Ochoa comes back, right? So she's
like, hey boo, I decided to come back. I was like, I did not trust that.
You know what?
I didn't think so either, because that was way too quick for his return.
I did it first when I was watching it, and I was just like, okay, you know what? Yeah, okay, cool. He came back. You know, no big deal, right? Just like, you know, like she's not so unlucky, but it turns out that she's losing her mind. And she puts the pendant down where she thinks, you know, on the table, and it's actually not there because she's not doing anything she thinks she's doing. And I had a feeling this was going to happen because I think it was 2 episodes ago, maybe it was even last episode, where she was talking to herself walking out of the Godfrey mill, Rooster Poot. I was like, what if she's like, this is the beginning of her psychosis, right? She's starting to talk to herself, and then she reaches Ochoa, right, at the car. I was like, okay, all right, she was meaning for it to get to him, or she was just like getting it out of her. Like, I'm sure sometimes we like outwardly monologue to ourselves, but not like this. You know, she's been doing it the whole episode, and we get to see that.
More so the whole season. We see her talking, she's talking through her issues and whatnot, trying to convince herself things are better than what they really are. So, I mean, it was led up to believe that Ochoa is still alive.
Because she's vain, but we've never really seen her talk to herself in the mirror like the last episode or one of the others where she's like, girl, you look good.
Yeah. I think it was last episode because then she saw the black veins creeping up on her chest, and she's like, oh, what is this? Oh, no. And she starts patting it with
I've always
her
felt
concealer.
She was like quietly confident, and it just like exuded off of her. She wasn't so much like chalking herself up in the mirror.
Yeah.
It's getting worse.
Yeah.
Her physical condition is just, now it's all on her arms and whatnot.
Yeah, it was disgusting. Like, when she was with fake Ochoa, right? So she was showing her arm, and it's just like all the way going down towards her elbow. It was looking really necrotic, and like almost like the cells were dead, right? And
she's dying.
Yeah, she's dying. And then it was funny how like fake Ochoa. Can we call him just regular Ochoa?
Imaginary Ochoa?
Imaginary
Ghost Ochoa?
Yeah, Ghost Ochoa.
Ghost Ochoa.
I like that better, actually.
Could be Ghost Ochoa.
Ghost Ochoa. So he takes off his shirt. It's like, oh, what an excuse to show you his body. Did you girls like that?
I thought that the makeup work they did, if that's not really his scars, was very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting how she's actually physically getting deep with someone.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, okay, they're going back to their physical, emotional wounds. It's like, all right, she's really grown attached to Ochoa.
When I saw her doing that and just the way they were with each other, I was like, wow, this is the most loving we've ever seen Olivia. Loving and forgiving, too. Like, even if a man had come back to her, she would probably bite his head off, which she... I guess in a way she ended up doing.
She did.
Yeah, but like when they were in the mansion and like giggling and they're like, he's gonna hear us. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
No, and I thought that was so out of character for Olivia. We've never really seen her laugh that much or like have fun and be somewhat childish in a way.
Right, like a budding romance, like when they're at the mailbox and that whole interaction was strange. And then when they showed the reality of it and then she was saying like what Ochoa was saying, it was so weird. I was like, wow, she lost it.
Yeah, she really, you know what, when I heard him say that, so I was like literally watching it on my iPhone, walking in the street, I was like, that sounds like to Ochoa. You know, like something like someone would do to impersonate Ochoa. I was like, and when I saw that too, I was like, Boricua. Oh, is he like Puerto Rican? That must be like what he is now. Like now we finally get that reveal. We knew he was Hispanic, but we get that, and I was like, that just doesn't sound right. You know,
He's
like
from South Florida.
Yeah, that's right.
Puerto Ricans are.
Totally makes sense.
It's the Latino culture, yeah.
So it's just like, this is what Olivia's doing in her mind, and she's just playing everything out like she's really in this romance with him, or really her brain and the parasites are tricking her into that.
And we also know the parasite affects the brain, so she's not thinking straight. Yeah. So
yeah,
the
and
brain's being affected.
we had that exposition. Was it in this episode that Johan said it to Roman?
I think it was was it in this episode? But anyway, I think we have, speaking of Johan, we have Joel De La Fuente on the line, who is Dr. Johan Price from Hemlock Grove. Joel?
Wait, that's me.
Yeah! Welcome to the show, Joel. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Great. Thank you so much for calling in.
We missed you so much. It's been over a year since we've talked to you.
Yeah, it's great to be back, and that mustache is full and robust.
Yes.
Thank you very much. It is Movember. I'm going to be shaving it tonight at midnight.
Oh, it's the end.
I've been monitoring that the same way you've been watching our episodes. So it's
Do you
coming
have
in
an
quite
after
nicely.
show about Sean's mustache?
Yeah, that merits its own AFTERBUZZ.
Thank you. Maybe next year we'll do that. But thank you so much for joining us, and we have so much to talk about regarding Price this episode and things we've learned about him last episode. So let's go ahead and fire away some questions. You guys have some questions for Joel?
Oh my goodness, Joel, hello. I haven't talked to you in 2 years, so I've missed you last season. Hi, how are you?
I'm great.
So your character we've seen him evolved all these seasons. He's so interesting. We're seeing so many different complicated layers to him, especially with, acting and just the storyline and the dialects that your character has to speak. Is there, do you have any certain acting techniques, or what did you do that helped you with all these different accents and languages your character had to speak?
Well, it's doing accents and impersonations and things like that has always been just something that I've enjoyed to do, and I think it was sort of a happy accident. I don't know if we talked about this last year, but the wonderful actress Shauna McDonald, who played Dr. Zheleznova Bordakovskaya, the first episode in season 2, we had a scene. And Shauna speaks fluent Russian, and so she was able to translate some of her lines into Russian because her character's Russian. And at the end, she thought, "Wouldn't it be great if you answered me back in Russian?" And so she taught me a sentence just on the day to respond to her, which sort of told the story in a quick moment that I understood everything she was saying in Russian. And so I think it was fun to do, and I think the writers sort of loved that change. So they sort of started incorporating this idea that Price could speak, every language. So it became this sort of fun back and forth thing where they would write these amazing, crazy things, and I would try to do them, and then they would answer back to try to do more things, and I would try to do them. And so it became a fun sort of back and forth competition thing where they were trying to come up with things to sort of, make me forget my lines, or make me laugh, or make me do all these things. And it was just such a fun kind of collaboration. I mean, I think the way that the character was able to become a joint creation between the minds of all these different writers and everybody on set was really fun and unique.
It just seems like unbelievable. You really play that you probably can answer everything that the writers throw at you, and you're able to do all these impersonations and these crazy long lines and all this biology jargon. It's really quite amazing.
Oh, well, that's not, I mean, it's a lot of work. It's not like it didn't come. It didn't necessarily all come easily, but it certainly was in the spirit of. There was a spirit of play and fun in the creation of all these things that doesn't happen all the time. But I think there was sort of like a meeting of the minds as far as I just feel really fortunate and lucky to have been. To have sort of gotten the chance to work together with everybody to create who he was. And certainly everybody had all these great ideas. I mean, each writer came up with something great for their episode that sort of added to who the character was. And that would give me some ideas. And it just, it was just a real treat to come to work and to get the new scripts and to see what sort of crazy, zany things they had come up with for Price.
I feel like in the writer's room, there's got to be some kind of bet going on who can come up with the best lines for Johan.
Well, I know that certainly for this last season, I know that you guys are up to episode 6, talking about episode 6, but it certainly felt for the first few episodes that, I mean, the gloves came off, and it was like, someone just watched Whiplash or something, because here's the drum thing and speaking in the different languages and the Greek delivery man and just I think the idea this great idea that they had to take all of the characters out of their comfort zone enabled everybody to see characters in a much different light. And by taking Price out of the normal sense of control that he had over everything was a way to really get a chance for everyone to see him from a different angle, so you could sort of get a deeper look into who he was, because he wasn't in control of who he was showing himself to be.
Right.
We actually had a question about the drums.
Right. For the drumming scene, a couple episodes back, we see your character just going crazy on drums on all these medical pieces of equipment. Was that really you doing that?
It is me. I mean, I think it may have been enhanced a little bit in post, to be honest, because it certainly sounds a lot better than I remember it sounding on the day. But that's I don't play the drums, but I had lessons. Like, there's a really this fantastic drummer who's in a Canadian band that's been around forever. They're a wonderful band. His name is Andrew. He's a terrific drummer, and I worked with him for a while, and he was really great in helping me sort of feel comfortable and free doing all that stuff. And Michael Therio, who plays Blinsky, he's like the perfect straight man. So you could just do all kinds of fun, crazy things, and it was hard not to laugh watching him respond to like all this stuff.
That was great. And let's talk about more of the scenes this episode too. So we have
Sure.
Price talking to his AI in the lab and asking it to do different tasks. I kind of got like the feeling that it was not unlike Jarvis from Iron Man, and just the way you were talking back and forth with it, just doing everything you were saying, which is great. And I feel like this AI, did this AI have a name by any chance?
There wasn't a name in the script, but I never gave him one either. He was just sort of yet another creation of Godfrey Industries,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you do some research and you find our Auslander. He's someone to track down.
Mm-hmm.
You get this guy, in is it into the tower that we bring him, or was it somewhere else?
No, I go to Michigan actually to see him. There was some stuff in earlier drafts about how I mentioned how I could get to Michigan. I could fly to Bloomfield Hills and back within a day. Like I had some kind of, but they cut that out. But Price basically flies to him and sees him, in his home, or where he's being treated.
Yeah, that's right. So we get an interrogation going on, and Price just wants to find out everything he can about Spivak and the creatures that Spivak is making, and maybe how he's done, what kind of experiments he's doing further. So we get a couple of things out of this. We get like estuarine, and then we get sulfur-based creatures. Am I right?
Yep. Yep.
So what does Price see out of all that? Is he making a lot of connections?
I think he's getting a lot of information. This is all new information, but he has yet to put it into any coherent order. But it's sort of the biggest breakthrough so far, and it's an interesting time because he's sort of starting to get his act together again. He's going
less on the stimulants now.
Yeah, well, visually, it's his hair is sort of combed. It's still long, but it's sort of combed. He's wearing his jacket again. You can sort of see him starting to get himself back together, and he's having these breakthroughs where he's actually found somebody who's interacted with him, and he ties him directly to Hemlock Grove for the first time. And then he starts hearing this information that, instead of a carbon-based life form, he's sulfur-based. He's interested in all these water-based activities. So it's leading us to the next step. Hopefully, Price can put this information together and start painting a more a clear picture of what the Spivak mystery is, which is sort of the thing that's been driving him, that led him to get addicted to pills in the first place. He's obsessed with figuring out whatever this new creature is.
So we see Price, reaching the end of his interrogation, and that's where Auslander actually gives him the information that he was involved with the twin experiments during World War II in the concentration camps, and we know that, and we get to see it even more vividly now, that Price obviously has a soft spot for children and mistreatment of them. So he ends up killing Auslander.
Yeah, Price doesn't stand for that.
Oh my gosh. And so this actually brings me back to last episode, where we got to learn so much about Price, his personal life and his childhood. So now can you give us a really, give us more explanation behind what happened in Price's childhood, and how that made him who he is today, and also about, maybe we could talk about his personal life too, and the Techno Bang Club that he was going to.
Which memes?
Yes, that was a moment of inspiration for you, Sean, and you made me laugh. I heard that last week, and I just thought, I've never heard it described quite like that.
But that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, pretty much. So tell us a little bit about, from your perspective, tell us about Price's childhood, and what happened to him, and how that's made him who he is today.
Well, I think you guys did a great job summarizing it last time. I got a chance to listen to the episode last week, and one of the things that I would add that I thought was interesting, having read and spent a lot of time with Chick's script as written, and something that I feel like that Chick was writing about that maybe we didn't fully capture, that I thought would be interesting, is that the way that we see the episode is that Price as a child, he's being made to do these certain tasks, and when he is incapable of doing them, or he makes a mistake, he's put inside this box. Sort of, it seems like punishment, like he's getting locked in a closet, like this special closet. And while that tells the general story, I think the way that it was written specifically in Chick's script was, originally it was, I forget the name of the scientific box or device it was called, but really the intent of the box, of this particular scientific box, was to keep you from being touched. So it sort of was denying you stimuli. And so it wasn't so much a direct, it wasn't so much like punishment, like being spanked or being removed and thrown into this thing. It really was, if you don't accomplish this, you get put in a place where you don't feel anything, where no one can touch you. Like an experiment almost. Like, there's an experiment of a scientist who experimented on his own child and didn't touch the child, just to see what would happen if the child didn't experience any physical sensation, and of course, with horrific results. Mm-hmm. I think that was sort of, that it wasn't so much that the father was interested in torturing the child or punishing the child. He was really experimenting on the child, with removing this sort of stimuli from him, and also putting him in the dark. So it was less punitive. It was more sort of ambiguous and weird. He was sort of like similar to the way Price experiments on others, namely the Greek delivery man that he's sort of chosen to work on, in this episode. Price's father did to him. So it brings up all these interesting things. I mean, clearly Price was affected very interestingly, severely, intensely by that experience. Profoundly. And it's interesting then that even though he rebels against it, he's doing the same things to others. Like he's practicing his experiments on unwilling participants, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of consequences he suffers compared to any consequences that his father suffered.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, that's good foreshadowing, because we do see that, like, the entire show, he's always experimenting on other people. So in the one snippet, from last episode, he's experimented on, now, like, looking at it as experiment, which I hadn't even thought of it that way, but that's totally makes sense. But now, like, we have foreshadowing that, like, the dad was punished for it. So how, exponentially is he going to also be punished?
Right. And it kind of explains why Price is he treats Shelley so well. And kind of like the child, in a way, a daughter more so. Just like he treats children better than adults.
I think on top of that too, Marissa, is that he, not only is she a child and has that sort of innocence that he may have felt that he lost and that he identifies with, but also she is a physical manifestation of what he perceives to be his greatest failure, and so he's also indebted to her. He was able to raise her from the dead, which is a triumph, but in a way that was sort of insufficient, and also in a way that causes her suffering. So he loves her and is also indebted to her at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah.
So we got to learn, along with Price's background, we got to learn about his personal life, and we see him meeting up with this random guy, and they go to the bang club,
Techno bang club.
Techno bang club.
It's not just any bang club.
Yes. So
exactly, not just any.
Yeah. Why? Like, why is Price doing this? Why does he not find, like, enough time to, like, I would imagine he's probably very busy, right, with his experiments, with everything going on. Like, his experiments and finding everything out about Spivak is his life right now. So he doesn't have time for, like, a long-term relationship, maybe. Is that why Price is going out and meeting these random guys, like, off of websites, off of Craigslist?
Yeah, or is it just fulfillment of life, more so?
Well, I think your opinions and the opinions of the viewers are maybe even more valid than my own. I mean, I can share my thoughts on it, but I think at this point it's sort of more important what you guys think about it than what I do. What I was thinking about it is that for him, he is fulfilling a basic human need that he feels. So he needs to take care of this need, and he is. I don't think he really thinks about relationships, because he's very obsessed, like you said, with the things he's trying to take care of, but he's also very inaccessible. Like, nobody has access to his heart or to his vulnerability, except for Shelley, and maybe only Shelley, like, not even himself. I don't think Price has accessed those sides of him at all, and his sexuality, like his desire to be with other men specifically, when the need has to be met, he goes and he meets it very functionally, very it's very transactional, and it meets a physical need, but also, as you see, there are other things that are met as well. The fact that it has to be in dark, the anonymity of it, I think the sort of strange comfort that he feels by being in the dark, even though we think that it caused him pain and suffering earlier, we sort of discover as a surprise that being in the dark and being in this situation actually sort of makes him feel like he's getting clean somehow, that he can sort of start again, which I sort of loved about Chick's script, that I was very surprised when he says to his bathhouse lover, he says that he actually he finds the dark calming, he finds it soothing, and that it's not the response that I thought that he would have.
Right, which then, now thinking of the box in his childhood being an experiment, like if that's like a deprivation, then his interpretation is it's like a reset button.
Yeah.
If everything on the outside is bad, then in the box, like even though he rebelled against it, it was an important reset for him.
Mm-hmm.
I read something too that someone said, I think it was on Twitter, someone just sort of said, sort of facetiously, I get it, Price has daddy issues. And it made me laugh, and I thought, I actually never thought of it that way. As obvious as that might seem, I thought I never sort of put it in 140 characters that way or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. I just thought there was something really astute about that as well. Just sort of whatever physical or emotional connection he's finding in these dark rooms in this situation, it's also inextricably, inevitably linked to his father as well, and how he was not being touched by the people that he loved. And his mother is completely absent. We don't see his mother at all. So we sort of assume that he was relying very heavily upon his father for a lot of things, like a lot of guidance and emotional support, which he didn't seem to be getting. So,
which is like a through line with most of our characters, is some kind of struggle with the generation prior.
Yes, mm-hmm. Yes, for sure.
And do you think because the lack of Price's mother in that character's life is also a reason why he's always dripping with disdain every time he talks to Olivia? The fact that she's such a detestable woman and a mother to her own children as well?
I never thought of it as something attached to his mother. I think Olivia has earned his whatever anger and disdain he may have. I think she's earned it very specifically, over the years. I think he spent a long time cleaning up, so to speak, after her. Taking care of a lot of unsavory tasks that she's left him with, namely sort of disposing of bodies, for a long time until they were able to figure out this way to feed her. Mm-hmm. And of course, she's very unpredictable, and her needs and what she demands can be unexpected and extreme. So I think his love-hate relationship with her is very earned by what's happened between them.
You mentioned, I want to talk about Olivia a little bit more in a minute, but you mentioned the bathhouse. So is that what the Techno Band Club actually is? I did notice.
It's a bathhouse.
Oh, it's a bathhouse.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about like the behind-the-scenes stuff, like how everything is set up. Is that a set, or is it an actual location that you guys shot at, and how was doing that scene?
It was a set, and it was based on bathhouses that it was researched. By the writers and by the director. They went to a very specific location, and the ownership very generously allowed them in and to sort of see how it worked and everything. And then I think you guys mentioned last week all the jargon, all the abbreviations and stuff, and there's a whole language, of all of these different. There's just a whole language of what happens between people, like whatever physical transactions, and people are very clear with one another about what they want to do and what they want to receive, and all of that stuff was pretty carefully researched, and so they built that set. It was on the Hemlock Grove stage, so we weren't going on location or anything like that. And when Chick had the idea, he actually met with me. He met with me a few weeks in advance. It was so soon that there wasn't really a written script yet. There was just an outline, and so I didn't know why we were meeting, and he gave me the script, the outline, and said, I would appreciate it if you looked at this. And I said, sure. And he said, okay. We were at lunch, and we kind of looked at each other, and I said, oh, you mean now? And he said, yeah. And it was, like a 30-page single-spaced outline. And so he left, and he went to go make phone calls and stuff while I sat at the table, and I read the script. And soon I realized, it was a really lovely show of respect to me. I felt like he was sort of letting me know what was coming, and to see like what my response was and what my thoughts were about it. And it was actually, as written and as shot, it was a little more explicit than what's present, in the final, result. Like, there were more sort of explicit interactions between, Price and his lover in the bathhouse. So, I found that sort of terrifying, as an actor, and I sort of knew reading it, and just sort of a very loving way in which it was rendered. I thought, I think Chick thought about it a lot. I think he was inspired by that, and the fact that it made me nervous and it felt truthful to some intent that Chick had about the character, it made me know right away that it was something that I needed to do. And and so so we had some time before that happened, and everyone was terrific. The guy that I played opposite was fantastic to work with, and the process was just really, ultimately, like, really gratifying. It was surprising for me, but I'm really glad to have had that experience.
Wow, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. That's amazing behind the scenes stuff, and it is like with Chick showing you, the outline ahead of time. It is amazingly respectful, and he didn't just like surprise you like, oh hey, today we're doing this. It's just it's really nice. The writers,
led by Chick, of course, but it really did feel like, because we all knew going into the season that it was the last season, and so. Right away, the scripts that we were getting, I could see that there were huge choices being made. I mean, immediately to the first time you see Price, for example, he's addicted to pills, and it was so starting from such a crazy place, and I knew right away that that's where they're starting. So where is it going to go? It's pretty ambitious, and it was great that they sort of, paused in places where I needed to catch up, and then, clued me in where, in places where I needed to sort of time to get on the same page, and it was fun. It was a very considerate, exciting sort of process.
And from everyone that we've talked to that's been on your set, they say that it's a really wonderful group that you guys have, and that you happen to be one that goes out of your way to welcome everyone.
Oh, that's nice. I mean, it is a great group. I mean, it's a family. We're a family of monsters, so monsters have to look out for monsters, and but we were ending. We knew we were ending a journey that we had started a while ago, and we've gone through a lot, and there have been a lot of different things that have happened and changes, people coming and going, and so it was important to us. It was important to us to take care of each other and to make the most of the experience. And at the end of the day, we were really sort of doing it for each other. The opportunity to look at each other and the opportunity to savor the moments that we had. The opportunity to get to do scenes with Bill, for example, that are very specific, and then the opportunity to work with Famke, and to just really the scenes that I've had over the last 3 seasons with Famke have been such a treat, and with Bill, and with and there are people that I never had scenes with. Never had scenes with Dio. I consider a really dear friend, and the wish list was to have a scene with Peter, and in some incredibly interesting way, we managed to do that before the end of the season. we just sort of to know that you're coming to the end and you know ahead of time is sort of a blessing. So we didn't really take anything for granted, and so so it was great. It made it really easy to be together and to enjoy each other and to sort of enjoy every minute together, because most of us don't really call Toronto home most of the time. So when we were there, we were away from our other lives, and we were focused very heavily on what we were doing there. So it was sort of easy to then devote even more time to enjoying each other and being with each other.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. And watching everybody and just hearing all these behind-the-scenes stories is just fantastic. We love listening to it. Speaking of, like, moments and having great moments with the cast members, has there been any of your particular favorite moments, whether it be in the show, in, like, a favorite scene, perhaps, or a favorite story, now that the show's over, that we've seen or we have yet to see?
There's tons, really. I mean, just from this season alone, like, it's just almost every episode there's something that I was so excited about, so excited to do, so excited to see how others did, things that were coming up. I mean, you guys are talking about episode 6 today. I mean, that's something that we refer to a little bit as, like, it's Peter Blake's script, and sort of refer to it as his Sixth Sense script, because there's that big reveal where you sort of learn something at the end, and then you have to sort of re-examine, and the show does it for you. It goes back, and you see all of these different steps that you thought were one thing, and you realize that it was something else. And it was really exciting, because I thought it was such a great episode for Famke, such a great way to utilize and stretch her in a way that she hadn't done the series before, to get to watch her do all of those different things, and to have that kind of a relationship with Alex, who plays Ochoa, a romantic relationship that wasn't compromised in any way. Like, Norman was always either married to her brother, married to his, Norman was always the brother of the person she was married to, or they were having issues, or she was, there was always something tragically flawed about all these other characters, and here you got to see her actually, what seemed to be finding a relationship with somebody that she cared about, and who was caring about her, and then to see it sort of change so surprisingly at the end, I thought. So that was really fun to watch. But for me, the drumming was so fun. Speaking the languages has been so fun. There's something coming up, I think it's in episode 8, where basically I feel like Famke and I get to play this wonderful actor, Scotty. We're sort of playing like a Noel Coward play all of a sudden, like for extended periods of time, like really text-heavy, sort of witty, funny stuff. It's just unlike any other thing, sort of mistaken or cross-identity kind of stuff, which will be sort of hopefully a fun thing for people to see. And then, the end is the end. The end of Price's story, within this story is sort of, I think, a really wonderful conclusion to where they've sort of been leading him this whole time. Like his sort of, because he sort of lost his way a little bit to begin this year, and how he, tries to find his way back. And I think, I think he's able to find a certain redemption before he sort of has to answer to his actions, the actions of his past.
So does that mean Price didn't die this episode? Maybe.
Well, I think you're going to see Price again.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am so glad. I was about to talk about that stuff. Price always gets surprised in his bedroom while he's asleep.
Where's the sleep mask?
Yeah, I know. No sleep mask this time. No ice pack mask.
Yeah.
Always getting surprised by, like, really tall, good-looking people coming into his bedroom. It's so funny.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I think a lot of people would want that.
So,
yeah. The thing about the sleep mask is such an interesting thing, actually, because, in season 2, with when Roman comes in and Price has a sleep mask on, when I first read it, I hated it. I did not like it. I thought, also as it was written, I think I told you guys this, it was written originally like Price is in his house. He didn't live in the White Tower. He lived in a house. Mm-hmm. And he was in a bed with dozens of cats, and he had on a sleep mask.
Yes, I remember you telling us that. That was hilarious. I can see it now.
Well, I hated it. I thought, oh, no, this is so wrong. And I felt like it was, I felt at the time it was making fun of Price. I just didn't think it was right and all this other stuff. And then for a bunch of reasons, like it got moved into his home, became an apartment, and the apartment became in the White Tower. And then I'm allergic to cats, so that was the cat situation.
I remember that.
But the sleep mask remained, and I was furious about the sleep mask. And then we played the scene, and then the one thing anybody wanted to talk about, after the season was my sleep mask. And I sort of learned in that moment, one, that I was mistaken about that, and two, just watching it, I learned more about Price in that moment. Like, I learned, one, that it's okay that there are funny things about him, and that's something that I tried to embrace more as we went along, sort of the humor of his character, but also that I could trust these situations a little bit more. So the sleep mask was, suddenly I became like its biggest advocate. Like, I loved the sleep mask at the end, and also just it had taught me that to be able to sort of embrace things that I didn't necessarily agree with initially. So
laugh at yourself.
But then the bedroom scenes came up, and I was like, "Where's the sleep mask?" And people were like, "Oh no, Chick hated the sleep mask." so it was so funny because Chick had written it, and I was like, "Oh gosh, that's the one thing I hate that." So then I do it, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, I gave it to you, Chick. I've learned, and okay, I got it." And Chick was like, "No, I watched it and I hated it. That's enough of the sleep mask." So we sort of like switched places.
Yeah, put that to.
But I have it. That's one thing that I have. They gave me the sleep mask. I have it in my possession.
There you go. There you go.
That's great. A little going away present.
There's certain things you got to take with you. Another thing I have is my pill case. I have that, and a couple other things.
Mm-hmm. That's a cool pill case.
Okay, very nice.
Give this back.
Any other questions for Joel?
It's pretty much, we've seen the amazing sets and whatnot throughout all, in the production design, the art design of the show is fantastic every episode. Is there a particular favorite set or location while you were filming, or anyone filming in the show that you particularly are really fond of?
Well, I think a specific shout out has to be made to Drew Boughton, who is the production designer for seasons 1 and 2. Who created such an amazing look for the show. And Dean O'Dell as well, who also contributed so much to that. One of the things, I just think that the look of it is so specific and great. I love the contrast between the White Tower, it's such a, the pristineness of it, and then the world of the gypsies, a world that I never, or I should say Romani, the world that Price was never able to be a part of, really. Just the sort of natural, earthy thing compared with like this sort of pristine, sterile whiteness,
Mm-hmm.
Joel, you're in The Man in the High Castle, which is on Amazon right now. Tell us just a little bit about that, and about some upcoming projects you have.
Sure. Well, The Man in the High Castle just dropped on the 20th of November on Amazon, so you can see the whole thing on Amazon Prime. It's an alternate reality based on a Philip K. Dick novel. It takes place in 1962 in a reimagined world where the Axis powers won World War II. So the Nazis and the Japanese now control what used to be the United States, and the East Coast and basically the Midwest are the Greater Nazi Reich. And there's sort of a no man's land, in the Colorado Rocky Mountain area, and then the West Coast is all the Japanese Pacific states. And it's a really and the interesting thing too is that the war ended, and it's 17 years after the end of the war. So so this new world order has sort of had time, like a generation to sort of, people have been living under this new order for a while, and you find yourself in this world, and within that there is a resistance movement, that's looking to sort of change that order. But it's really an amazingly realized world. I mean, the world is very painstakingly, and it's Drew Boughton again, who's the production designer, actually. So he's helped to create a really fully realized world that is based on things we know, but with things have gone a different way. Things are sort of there's things that we recognize visually that are being used in unexpected, new, unforeseen ways. And I play the head of the Japanese secret police, so I'm sort of responsible for keeping order on the west coast of the United States, the former United States. And some people would say that I'm a little bit mean-spirited, but I disagree. But I think you'll have to tell me. You'll have to tell me what you think if you get a chance to watch it. But I really recommend it. I think it's there's a lot of resonances with what's going on in our world today, and I think it's I think it's a really interesting piece.
Yeah, that show sounds fantastic.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that, just like with Dr. Price in Hemlock Grove, you're going to be playing a big role in it. You're in all 10 episodes, so I really want to check it out just because of you, Joel. Just because you make the shows you're in.
Sean. Hey, I haven't said hi to Marielou yet, by the way. Hey, Marielou. I don't think we've ever talked to each other
No,
before.
this is our first time. I was very excited. You are my favorite character on the show. Or Johannes.
Oh, I really appreciate it. Thank you. And I also have to say, too, I think there is a distinctly Filipino vibe to this particular episode of AfterBuzz. Am I right or am I right?
Yes. Very right.
Absolutely right.
Now, Joel, are you you're Filipino?
We should all be eating lumpia. Yeah, we should be eating like lumpia or something.
We totally should. I did have a quick question before we go then, because of you being like an Asian actor, I love in this show that it's never like you're not an Asian character, you're a character that happens to be Asian. And I'm always really sensitive to that when I watch things. Like I just watched The Martian, and when I read the book, there's definitely characters that I was like, oh, it's totally an Asian person, but it's not in the movie. So I appreciate that kind of casting. But when they cast it, was it were they looking for diversity, or was it you just rocked it and nobody else could play this character, obviously?
Do you guys have time for a little bit of a story for me to answer that question? It's a couple minutes long, but it's sort of worthwhile. I don't know if you have time for me to tell the story, but I don't think you guys know the story of how I got cast as Johann Price. Do you? Did I tell you this story?
Yes, we do.
I do know the story, but maybe you could give us
abbreviated
Well, I can just say this. I can just say that if you Google my name and Morgan Freeman, then you'll see a video that I made completely for my own pleasure and sort of with a friend's goading and criticism of something. So I decided to try to do an impersonation of Morgan Freeman, and basically that video, which I made for myself, ended up being played for Katie O'Connell, the former CEO of Gaumont International, they were casting Hemlock Grove at the time. They couldn't cast Johann Price, and she saw this video of this Asian guy trying to doing a Morgan Freeman impersonation, and so she thought it was so crazy. So basically, she got me scenes for Price, and that's basically what got me cast in this part. I mean, just it sort of introduced me. It got me seen and my audition tape scene, and along with my Morgan Freeman impersonation, and that sort of. And because of that, it sort of it got me into Hemlock Grove and to play this great part, and sort of changed a lot of things for me.
That's great. I feel like I maybe have heard that story before, but I'm happy to hear it from you.
Great. Well, I'm always happy to tell it.
It's amazing.
By the way, we also have a Panay in the engineer booth as well. That's our associate producer, Alexis Torres. So we have just the whole production team, and the hosts are over here at AfterBuzz, and
completely planned.
And our guest is Filipino as well. So that's amazing.
Pinoy power, where's Olympia?
We're just taking over the world. I mean, come on.
And you know what, Joel? It's such a pleasure to see a Filipino as well, doing great great television shows, like great acting roles as well. So it's like I really feel very, very prideful. So thank you so much for being that, Joel.
Oh gosh, it goes both ways. I mean, I'm so I watched the show. I really appreciate it. I think you guys are all doing a great job. And again, it's like it has nothing to do specifically with where we're from, but it enhances everything, because I think it's really important for art to reflect the community around it. And for so long, it's only reflected a very specific version of the world we're from. And I think lately, we're showing signs of actually, it's important for people to be able, for kids and for everybody to turn on the TV and to see the world on the TV that is the same world that they see when they go to the grocery store, and I think that goes a long way. I think it's really important, and I think it expands our idea of who we are and what we can be. So first and foremost, I think you have to follow your dreams and be the best whatever it is that you want to be, whether it's you writing your book or you guys doing the show or me trying to play certain parts or whatever. Like, it's important for us to aspire to be our very best regardless of anything. But something else that we bring to the table, like, whatever our heritage is, that enriches our work in ways that, we have no idea how it might enrich others. And I think it's important that we get out into the world to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because then, me as a little kid, if I would have seen, certain kind of faces on the screen, it would have influenced maybe a different direction. But I think I was specifically influenced into getting into entertainment because I did not see it reflecting back.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, so keep rocking it. I love it.
Yes.
Well, Joel, thank you so much for joining us here, and we really, really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us on our podcast at AfterBuzz TV, and we look forward to seeing you in more shows, and of course you're in Man in the High Castle on Amazon, and we're gonna miss you and miss Hemlock Grove so much, but we hope to talk to you more again in the future. Until then, where can everybody, all of our fans and followers, find you at?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Joel De La Fuente, and on Facebook at the Joel De La Fuente.
Right.
Yes, and I love that you're so active with your social media and responding to questions and the rumor mill of the soap opera about Johan Price on Facebook. I was like, yes, let's have that.
Yeah.
Well, I think if you're going to take the time to comment, it's I should try to take the time to answer. I mean, I don't think I can get to everybody all the time, but I do my best.
No, and people see it, and I think that's fantastic.
And I just gotta say, Joel, it's been an honor talking to you every season, and your character and you yourself, you're amazing to watch and amazing to talk to, and it's been a real pleasure.
Thank you so much, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the season. It gets awfully crazy, and I'm looking forward to hearing how you guys respond to it.
Oh yeah, we sure will let you know. Of course, you'll see the podcast, and we'll be tweeting at you furiously to let you know.
Excellent.
Okay, thanks so much,
Thanks, Joel.
Thank you.
All right, take care of you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
All right.
Magandang gabi. Is that right?
He's amazing.
Yeah, good evening. Magandang gabi. Oh man, I love talking to him every time. Thanks to Joel for joining us on the podcast. We have 10 minutes to wrap up the rest of the show. We have so much to talk about still. Let's go ahead, Destiny, I know she plays an important role in the show. Maybe we can get to her, or in this episode, we can get to her at the end. But let's skip over to Roman and Annie and Olivia and what's going on with them first. We skipped over Annie and Olivia last time. So let me open it up to you, Marissa.
So we saw in episode 5 a really endearing scene and more really heartfelt scene between Annie and Olivia, just connecting as mother and daughter, relationship that we never really have seen on the show. And it was just nice to see them actually come from a human connection, be like, I'm really trying to be families. I hope we can get over our past, but maybe we could have a future together. And I thought that was really sweet, but compared to such a dark story that's happening in that family, especially with Roman now. And what do we think of Roman and Annie still?
Oh my gosh, this is so crazy. So last episode, he still didn't know that Annie was a sister. He visits her in today's episode, and he comes in with flowers. Of course, he's Godfrey. He can do whatever he wants, right? Just brings in tons of roses, probably a couple dozen, and he's like, dude, I will do whatever you want. I will say 10 Hail Marys for that guard that I killed, right? And it's just like,
not enough.
And come on, man. Like, but then Olivia walks in at the perfect moment in her stupor of her like parasite-driven brain, and she just
You saw that shot too.
Yeah.
She's seeing it.
Oh my gosh. So right then he's like, wait, you two know each other? And then Olivia's like, wait, you two know each other? What the heck is going on here? So yeah, Annie was she was just like cowering in shame on the seat, right?
She's like, yeah, you're right.
Oh, I shouldn't have given Olivia my
Guilty.
address or Roman, and now, oh gosh. And it was so funny because I think there was one thing in the there was a line that Olivia said. It's like, well, now you've stuck it to both of your sisters. It's like,
But you can't blame me for this one.
That's on you, Roman.
wow. So she was brainwashing him very well in the other season, right? Season 1 with Letha.
She was, yes.
Gosh, and I forgot actually. I forgot that
yeah.
Letha was not his cousin. Letha was actually his half sister.
Half-sister.
Oh gosh. Wow.
Still messed up.
So fast forward, we have Annie actually come to Roman's house. They have a quick conversation. She's very apologetic. And he's just like, you know
Not
what?
having it.
F you. He's totally giving her the cold shoulder the whole time. And I must say, like from a gaming perspective, like male gaming, this guy played his cards right, and he got her to like him even more, even though it was with angry sex. And she called him an arrogant prick.
Yeah.
She did. But also Roman was, very antagonistic in this situation too, and he's pretty much egging her on, being like,
He
that
nagged
was
her
fine.
just enough.
It's a shame because that was fine.
Yeah. There was really
so messed up on so many levels.
honestly, it was from a visual perspective, it's a very sexy scene. But from what's going on between the characters and all the relationships that are happening, it's messed up because the brother and sister, they know it now and they're still getting
they're
it
still
on.
Yeah,
Dang
like
it.
storytelling wise, I thought the contrast from when we first saw them like have sex and then to this one, like the first one I was like, oh yeah, that's right. And
Yeah.
then this one I was like, oh no, please stop. No, it's the same two people but with all the information.
Yes.
It changes everything.
It's so funny, but they're oop here. I'm gonna make it okay because they're vampires, and that's the vampire culture, right? So
And times
that's
have
the way it is.
changed because Lord knows how old both of them are. So I mean, they could be. And we know Annie's older.
He's got to be
young-
20.
Yeah, he's younger, but Annie's still older. So like
150.
times have changed with her.
Yeah.
Maybe she's whatever, where she gets it.
She's seen enough of the world where she knows
that
like
doesn't affect her.
laws don't apply to oop here.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm glad we got that off our chest.
Yes.
Let's talk about Destiny really fast.
Just
the
Playing with
Poor
fire.
girl.
oh my gosh.
I have it in my notes like 4 different times. Just poor girl.
You know what? I wanted to title this episode Desperate Women because all the women here just exude desperation throughout the whole plot line of this episode. We have Annie being desperate, like she doesn't want to give up the relationships that she has with both Roman and Olivia. And then we had Olivia obviously desperate, that she wants Ochoa to stay with her even though he's a figment of her imagination. And then we have Destiny desperate because she wants to get revenge for Andreas. She has no idea what he did, how much of a jerk off he is, right?
Yeah. It's a shame.
Yeah, so she in the funeral, which we know was from her vision now.
Yep.
Right, we confirmed it.
Confirmed.
Which is she opened up his body, reached in there, and then she saw the vision like as if she was in Andreas's place with the gun in her face, right?
And these,
Do you think that though? Because okay, that was a really quick vision. We never saw Andreas's face. We know Destiny can see some things of the past, but some things of the future. Do you think that was actually a future vision?
Whoa.
She's in the situation.
Whoa.
She's begging for someone's life.
That's crazy.
I interpret it as past, but
Yeah.
it could all switch around. Yeah.
You know what? I like that too. Actually, I like that it could be future. Or past.
I understand she's trying to find answers from what happened to Andreas, how he died.
Yeah.
But we also know that she can see the future too.
Yeah.
And it's such a dark vision. Who
So
knows?
yeah, it is super dark, super ambiguous. So I like the ambiguity. It could be that maybe this is going to happen to her. Maybe this is going to happen to Peter. We don't really know. But all the things we do know for sure is that Bajram and Andreas's friends are idiots because they totally can't lie, and just they want to do the greater good, but at the same time they don't want any kind of confrontation at all.
But in fairness, Andreas did them wrong, so I can understand where they don't want to have any part in it anymore.
Yeah,
I don't see where Peter thought he was not going to be able to hide he would be able to hide the truth from her.
No.
Right, especially the
I'm
family.
like, are you a fool?
Yeah, he tried. He should have told her the truth right from the beginning. It would have saved her so much trouble, saved him a lot of trouble.
Like, hey, cousin, this sucks, but here it is.
Look at how many lies he had to plant, and things he had to do to just not tell her. And he still hasn't told her. He just says, when he saves her from knifing Milan, he says, don't do it, just drop it. You're going to kill someone. I can't believe you. And now, look, she's going to the cops.
And now she knows. I mean, we know that Destiny is smart. She's street smart. She's book smart. She can figure it out on her own.
But in this case, her judgment is clouded because she's a woman in grieving and she doesn't understand why. Why? Because no one gives her any information, and her cousin
and taking it into her own hands.
Yeah.
And now she also knows Roman's involved as well.
Yep. Oh
How
my
many
gosh.
people were involved in this?
She heard his voice, and he tried, and I could tell he tried to mask it, right? And obviously we don't see that it's Roman, like, leaving the phone booth because he was, like, shrouded by, like, the glass.
Oh, yeah, we knew it was him, though.
But it was him. Yeah, of course, him and Peter were the only ones who knew where the body was. So I'm just really sad, like, she's turning against everybody. And you know what I liked about Destiny this episode, other than her, I didn't like her stupidity, right? But what I did like was her street smarts and how she could be a really good psychic detective. That is so awesome that she was able to do that stuff, and I really want to read the rest of the Desire book to see what kind of stuff she goes through, and if there's like private detective stuff with her in there.
I can see that. I mean, she does have a very nice apartment, so it would make sense.
It would totally make sense, and she's an entrepreneur. She needs to make money on the side.
But in fairness, Andreas's friends did say, she's a gypsy, she's a psychic, but didn't know her own man was cheating on her.
Because she was clouded by love and revenge.
Tunnel vision.
And she finds information when she wants to look for it. Like, it doesn't just, like, happen necessarily.
Yeah. Well, I think we got to wrap it up, guys. Let's go ahead and move into our predictions. Real fast.
Okay.
All right.
Predictions.
Yeah.
So many. Well, now we know that Destiny has the reveal with Peter. She knows Peter was somehow involved. She knows Roman is now involved. But so I think she's going to have a fight with Peter. But in the end, there will be a situation where she tries to save Peter's life, maybe. And I think that would explain the so-called ambiguous vision she had. That maybe she's begging for Peter's life because Peter's now in trouble. And then that whole relationship would be resolved because, we can't split them up. They're awesome to watch together. And then Olivia, now that she's attacking people / peers and her own kind and just regular civilians, I think she'll kill Annie. I think she'll kill her own kind. No. And then maybe Roman will kill Olivia in return as revenge for killing Annie.
Okay.
And then also, I don't think Price is dead. Build a new body for Olivia. I think he might attempt to build this new body for Olivia because now she wants a new body.
Right.
But I think he's going to fail, whether it be on purpose or a mistake, and then Olivia will kill Price for good. Lots of death. Lots of death.
Yes. A lot of stuff.
I'm in dark.
Yeah. Well,
Marielou.
I'm going to say I was upset at the end of this episode, and I watched a little bit ahead just because I needed clarification. So I won't say anything else, but I broke the rules. I didn't go that far deep. But I got the answers I needed.
I didn't.
Okay.
And Sean can attest, I
yes,
didn't.
She hasn't, I haven't. But let me go ahead and say that well, obviously we know Price is not going to be dead quite yet. I feel like Olivia is going to kill Price because he won't be able to build her a new body. She's going to be very disappointed, but it's not going to happen until the very last episode. I don't think it's going to happen in episode 9 or before that.
What if he puts her in the Greek delivery guy?
Oh wow, because he can do that, right?
Yeah.
But then it's not.
That was a fail of a test.
Yeah,
though.
yeah, but it's
How
not
much
really.
is that involved?
Yeah, it's not like really them though. It's like a separate consciousness, which I guess it doesn't matter if she still wants to live. That's a way of living.
Or she'll be in the computer. She'll be the new Siri.
Oh, she'll be.
And she'll be so mean to you.
She will.
You're like,
She'll be
Olivia,
chastising you.
what time does Starbucks close? Shut up.
I just we need to get out of here though. But so let's go ahead and wrap up with the show. How about we go ahead and give our handles? Where can we find everybody at?
I'm Marielou Mandl. You can find me on all social media at Marielou Mandl.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Serafini TV.
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Sean Austin O. That's SeanAustino on Twitter and Instagram. Yeah, I just said that. But be sure to also check out my book on the iBookstore. It's called City of Angels and Discontent. Download it, write me a review, let me know what you guys think. And
thank you, Joel.
Yeah, and thanks so much to Joel De La Fuente for joining us, and thanks to our associate producer in the booth, Alexis Torres, for putting up with us and running a long show.
Yeah,
and
girl.
We'll talk to you guys. Woohoo! And we'll talk to you guys next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later. Yeah, you're totally American.
The views expressed herein are those of the host only. The views expressed herein are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.